Well, when we moved into this place and realised that they had storage heaters, which are grossly inefficient and cost a fortune and don't really keep the place warm during the day and the early evening when you need them, because we live in a village where there's no mains gas, our options were 1, some form of electric heating, 2, bottled gas, and 3, oil. Oil and gas were going to be really expensive because we'd have to put a tank way down at the bottom of the garden and have a trench dug, which was going to be expensive. Bottled gas is a nuisance. Oil's expensive. So we looked at the electric options, and there are a few. We did look at having an electric wet system, so a conventional radiated water pump ground, but with an electric boiler. But again, that's quite expensive. The boilers typically only come with a year's warranty because they don't tend to have anything like the life that an equivalent gas boiler would have. So none of those really were particularly favoured options for us. And then we met Howard from North East Heating, who was very patient with us, took the time, had a good look around the house, made recommendations that were sensible, very well costed, was very, very clear on how much it was going to cost, was very helpful in lots of respects, not least of which, because we didn't have sufficient power coming into the building. It's quite an old cottage, and he helped us contact the right people who changed the supply to 100 amps, which means we could have all the heating running and all the ovens and everything else that we needed. When we moved in here a year ago, we had an old-fashioned Bakelite fuse box, the silly things with bayonets and wires, and Howard's guys replaced all of that and made sure that everything was completely up to standard. Installation took a day, and the 2 guys who did the fitting were extremely pleasant, quite good company actually. Pleasure to have in the house. Very clean, very tidy, and at the end of the day took time to explain to us how to use the heat app and how to program the radiators in the 2 bathrooms. So from that point on, we've been really, really nice and warm and very pleased with the whole thing. We notice an immediate difference for 2 reasons. 1, it's instantly controllable. So if you're an hour, half an hour away from the house, you can dial up the heat app, make sure that everything's going to be really nice and warm when you get home. And as soon as you walk in the door and it's nice and warm and cosy, then you know that you made the right decision. So I've been very, very pleased. We saw a huge difference from a couple of hours of the fitters leaving. The house was warmer than we had known it before. One of my hallmarks for judging a company's service is not so much around when you're having the initial discussions, deciding whether you're going to use the services, but it's what they do afterwards. And shortly after we had the installation completed, we started with building quite a big new extension. So we had to take some of the radiators out of commission because that's where the builders were going to be working. So they were stored away neatly in the garage. And as soon as everything was finished, talked to Howard, said, right, okay, we're ready to have the heaters put back in, recommissioned. Within a matter of days, the guys were here. They've done a great job, and Howard had already designed the system to be how the house was going to be once we'd finished the extension right from the start. And the 2 guys came, refitted all the radiators, and most importantly, Howard didn't even charge us for that. Having completely refurbished this house over the past 12 months, built the extension, new kitchen, new bathrooms, all that sort of stuff. We've had an awful lot of different suppliers, different tradespeople working in the house, and I'm very pleased to say that Howard and his company are right at the top of the pile in terms of being a pleasure to deal with, being helpful, making sure everything was right for what we needed, turning up when they said they were going to turn up, doing what they said they would do, and I'd have absolutely no hesitation in recommending them to anybody at all.